throne is starting to crumble, primarily because for some reason, people are no longer afraid anymore. Y'all, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, so let's not waste time. We have a lot to expose, and you might want to buckle up, because trust me when I say, you aren't ready for this one. Right off the bat, let's kick it off with the tragic story.
Yeah, bro, I'm telling y'all niggas, the white people who got the money funding majority of shit that's going on, like especially funding these labels, because you know Jay-Z and them came up under somebody else, and then these other people came up under somebody else. I'm sure these white people still playing puppet master, and they gotta put all the black guys with power behind bars. So whatever, yo, I feel like something coming, bro. Just think about it, bro. Like anybody that's black and they starting to have, it's like, you know, a different way of thinking, and they starting to wake up, they getting locked up. They getting packed out. You know, look, Michael Jackson, what was he about to do? You feel me? Tory Lanez, what did he do? You feel me? Even R. Kelly. You feel me? It's all an agenda behind everybody. Look, Kobe Bryant. You feel me, bro? Like, it's getting real suspicious. And then it's not just every rich person. It's the most influential rich black people. You know what I'm saying? It's not just any rich black person, because some of them, they just rich and they don't know what's going on. They lost. You feel me? It's the most influential, and then the ones that are, whenever they acquire new knowledge, they're willing to share it and shit like that. You feel me? But you see, with Diddy's situation now, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. You feel me? It wasn't supposed to happen like this. It was supposed to all be, there's supposed to still be Diddy parties going on right now. But because certain people went against the grain, now they forced to penalize Diddy. They're forced to penalize Jay-Z and all those people, bro. I'm telling you, I feel like it's something bigger. There's something bigger going on.
Story of Prodigy.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean.
Many might not know this, but back in the day, Prodigy wasn't just some rapper from Mobb Deep. He was the one who really spoke up when nobody else had the guts to. Before TikTok theories and YouTube truthers became a thing, Prodigy was already out here saying the quiet stuff out loud, stuff most artists would have never touched. But when you start exposing real power moves in a world built on silence, you don't just get ignored. Sometimes you get erased. From day one, he stood out. You could hear it in his voice, in his lyrics, and there was this raw paranoia energy he had when he spoke about these things, which made people take him seriously. And that's when he started being watched.
You know what I mean? I believe definitely maybe some of these label heads, like major labels and like major corporate companies, might have something to do with it, and they, you know, might be involved with the agenda.
To say the least. According to the Clark County Medical Examiner, Prodigy, one half of Mobb Deep, choked on an egg while at the hospital getting treated for a flare.
And now, like, I talked to Noriega this morning, he was like, okay, I realized this. I realized that I really don't feel Prodigy died from choking on an egg.
Jay-Z ain't had to say when it was on, and he was getting dissed. Him and Nas. Mobb Deep and Biggie were the only ones from New York active in that situation. So Jay-Z is a bitch for making that quote in his lyrics.
You see, Hollywood gatekeepers largely use music to influence the people. Take rap, for instance. Did y'all know there's a reason why, for the longest time, rap was just about women, guns, and sex? Believe it or not, there's a reason why that's the kind of music the gatekeepers want you to constantly listen to. And artists who follow their rules get rewarded handsomely. Now, why have I brought this up? Prodigy's music became a problem because it did not follow these rules. Quite the contrary, it made people wake up and start questioning things. Remember, the gatekeepers prefer you in zombie mode because in that state, you are easy to control. And so they noticed that Prodigy wasn't just interested in spitting bars. He was trying to warn people. Every verse was a message. Every track was a shot fired. He didn't make music for the charts, he did it to survive. And then, in 2017, he didn't. P's official cause of death was that he choked on a boiled egg while in a Las Vegas hospital. That story sounded off back then, and it still does, to this very day, especially when you start peeling back the final moments of his life, because the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Let's rewind. In 2007, while he was locked up for a weapons charge, Prodigy wrote this wild, open letter from behind bars. A letter that didn't just ruffle a few feathers, but ripped wings off. Prodigy straight up came for Jay-Z, calling him out by name and accusing him of teaming up with the so-called Illuminati. Mark you, this was at a time when many didn't even know what Illuminati was. P was putting Jay-Z on blast for picking the wrong side by helping the system to hide the truth, especially to the black community. He actually called it a spiritual war. By now, y'all can tell there's no way it was gonna end well for P, right? He hated the fact that Jay-Z knew the truth, but chose to hide it. The thing is, it's one thing to—
But yo, that's weird though, right, chat? I'm just thinking about it, right? It's not funny, but I was just thinking about it. How do you choke on an egg? Like, who the hell, like, people? Nah, I can't even say that because I seen African movies where niggas literally would eat a whole egg at once. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, this nigga just popping whole eggs. Nah, what the hell?
to casually say these things.
That's
But remember,
unbelievable.
guys, Prodigy
My son
was
would've
dropping
bit it or
names,
cut it in
calling
half.
out systems, exposing stuff most artists would never dare say. And he stayed on that vibe all the way through. His 2017 album, Hegelian
Whole egg is
Dialectic,
crazy.
The Book of Revelation, was where all hell broke loose. If you listen closely, it's packed with clues, warning signs, and straight up reveals how the system
Entire egg?
profits when people are silent. By now, Prodigy had been declared a problem, and other artists were already being warned about working with him. So, the more he talked, the lonelier he got. In one of his last interviews, Prodigy didn't come off as the wild conspiracy guy the industry had labeled him to be. Back then, he would speak about these things with so much anger. But on this particular occasion, he was calm, collected, and dead serious when talked about rituals, manipulation, control, even mentioning that the food we eat and meds we are given play into a much bigger system. He said the music industry was a machine, and artists like Jay-Z were just shiny gears helping it run.
But you see what I was saying in the beginning, right? Like the people who are woke, the ones who are willing to give you information, those the ones that he come for.
Now here's
And
where
the
it gets
ones who
dark
have
for
that
real.
influence.
Prodigy had battled sickle cell his whole life. It was the kind of pain that wasn't new to him. So when the news dropped in June 2017 that he passed away at Spring Valley Medical Center, most fans thought, okay, maybe his body finally gave out. Shock on everyone when the official story came out. They said he choked on a boiled egg, in a hospital bed, while already weak. That's diabolical. His family didn't believe it either. They sued the hospital, accusing them of gross negligence. According to the lawsuit, the staff messed up his IV, didn't monitor his breathing, and ignored doctors' orders. The lawsuit made it clear that this wasn't just a medical accident, it was avoidable. And yet, when you remember the kind of enemies Prodigy made by speaking out, it starts to feel less like neglect and more like a kill switch.
They be giving people eggs in the hospital? Because that's another thing too. Because like when I was in the hospital, maybe the hospital he at, you know, because they ain't giving me no eggs. But then again, I didn't really eat hospital food, so I wouldn't really know. I mean, they done offered me shit before, but it was never no eggs. It's like other things.
A setup disguised as medical incompetence. You might be thinking, if it was a setup, then how come they never took him out the numerous times he called out the gatekeepers? Well, here's your answer. Right before his death, Prodigy had just dropped one of the most raw and unfiltered albums of his entire career, and he wasn't done. P had plans to release 2 more volumes. Like, this man had so much more to say. Plus, besides his already controversial music, he was still doing interviews, still posting, still calling stuff out that most people wouldn't even whisper about. And unlike back then, he now had people listening. Maybe the snakes in high places just couldn't let those 2 other projects drop because this one alone had started an awakening. And that's why, to this day, many say his death wasn't random, that the timing felt too perfect. Which begs the question, was Prodigy really paranoid? Or was he one of the only ones who actually saw things for what they were? And while Prodigy never outright confirmed that Jay was Illuminati, he never walked back those claims either. So, in the end, what really killed P? An egg? Or was he silenced? This is a man who said with his chest that he feared no one, that the truth has set me free from Illuminati mental enslavement. He swore he'd keep exposing the system until they stopped him, and 5 months later, they did. In case you're wondering why people started looking at Jay-Z a certain way after Prodigy's death, listen to this.
But tell me, man, why do you believe that Jay and Puffy is close, even though Jay's lawyer came out and said they're not?
Because Jay-Z and Puff was given an assignment. And that was to destroy East Coast rap.
That right there is Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard for nearly 2 decades and Bad Boy Records employee. If there's someone who knows Diddy inside out, it's Uncle Gene.
They were suppressing all new artists that was coming out of New York. Jay and Diddy was doing that.
So if you thought an egg ended Prodigy's life, you've been missing the whole play. And if you know how Jay and Diddy move, then you already know they don't just let artists go off script without consequences. Prodigy wasn't the first, and sadly, he wasn't the last, because there's someone else who knows Jay-Z too well and has been calling out since forever, Jaguar Wright. Much like Prodigy, Jaguar Wright has been yelling this stuff for years, but he got the usual response. At first, people brushed her off like,
Yo, you gotta really think about it though, bro. These people who say these things, they always call them crazy, bro. And I feel like these people, like, they hold on to that crazy persona because that's what prevents them from getting packed out. Because the crazy persona makes them less believable. So you feel me? But they saying truth while having that crazy persona. You feel what I'm saying?
she was crazy. Then slowly but surely, people are finally circling back, realizing she might have been onto something all along, pulling the curtain back on these industry giants, going toe-to-toe with names most people wouldn't dare speak on, especially Jay-Z. My theory is that part of the reason why a lot of people didn't want to believe her isn't because it wasn't real, but because it was too dark to even process. Jaguar has been out here saying, y'all watching the wrong man, cause in her eyes, Jay-Z is not just guilty, he's worse than Diddy. The only difference is he moves in silence and is so slick that he never leaves fingerprints. Jaguar says one of the biggest reasons Jay-Z's stayed so protected all these years is Beyonce. Her clean, flawless image has been the perfect cover for all the dirt happening behind the curtain. But according to Jag, that curtain is hiding some real dark stuff. Bodies, ruined lives, broken girls, careers cut short, and people who were silenced or blacklisted in Hollywood just because Jay-Z said so. Let's talk about Aaliyah. Sweet, talented Aaliyah. From the moment she stepped into the spotlight, she was allegedly preyed on by powerful men in the industry. We all know the R. Kelly situation. He married her at 15 after faking her age. That alone was sick, but Jay-Z wasn't far behind. The story goes, both Jay-Z and Dame Dash had eyes for Aaliyah. Jay allegedly wanted her first, but Dame ended up being the one she publicly dated. Jay-Z's ego was bruised, because for him, it wasn't just personal, it was about power. And y'all know how Jay is obsessed with power. And then, out of nowhere, Aaliyah dies in that tragic plane crash at just 22. To this day, a lot of people don't buy that it was just some random accident. I mean, who lets a superstar get on an overloaded jet and just fly off like that? The whole thing felt off. And what's even colder is that right after she passed, people in the industry weren't even grieving. They immediately—
Yo, am I hearing right? Did John just say he, she?
Even colder is that overloaded jet and just fly off like that. The whole thing felt off. And what's even colder is that right after she passed, people in the industry weren't even grieving. They immediately started hunting for her replacement.
Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him.
They wanted another Aaliyah, young, beautiful, and easy to control. That's when Tiara Marie popped up on the radar. She was just 15 when label heads got wind of her. And when Jay-Z saw her, he immediately signed her to Def Jam while she was still a kid. He mentored her, worked closely with her, but according to insiders, things got twisted. Cause behind closed doors, Jay allegedly wasn't just mentoring her, he was messing with her, playing father figure in public and something way more inappropriate in private. It's disgusting, but sadly, not shocking when you see the pattern. But then things took a dark turn when Beyonce allegedly found out what was going on, and just like that, Tiara's whole world crumbled. Like literally, this kid took the fall, and the adults walked scot-free. Jay-Z completely ghosted her without a warning or any sort of closure. He just dropped her like she never existed. Remember, Tiara wasn't some struggling artist on the come-up. By the time Jay-Z dropped her out of nowhere, not only was she in the middle of recording her second album, but was also charting on Billboard. Like, her career was literally only supposed to go up from there. And then out of nowhere, she gets a call, right before prom, that she's off the label. Jay-Z never gave a reason, and when she tried to find out why, it wasn't even Jay-Z who responded, but his assistant. That's how she found out the man she once called a father figure had cut her off.
Tiara Marie.
Yeah.
Okay, and she's the first lady of the rock.
She's the princess.
But y'all, it gets worse. It's not enough that Jay-Z dropped Tiara. She literally woke up to the shock that she had been blacklisted. I don't think y'all understand what this meant for Tiara's career. She was fully blocked from getting signed anywhere else, so it's not like she would ever have a comeback. One minute she was on Billboard and the next, Tiara was gone and forgotten, all because she crossed paths with Jay-Z, and his ego couldn't handle the fallout when Beyonce allegedly found out. And I really wish, Tiara was the last one, but she's not. Let's talk about Foxy Brown. She was just 14 or 15 when she first started working with Jay-Z, and yeah, the whispers have never stopped. People still say he was messing with her way before she was grown. Then there's Beyonce. Jay met her when she was 16 and he was pushing 30. Of course, they'll spin it like he waited until it was legal, but let's be real, we all know how that usually goes.
Beyonce is not her husband, and she was also allegedly heavily groomed by Jay-Z.
In fact, his age gap with Beyonce is enough proof that these cases aren't far-fetched. The pattern is too loud to ignore. With Jay-Z, it's always the case of young girls with promising careers used up and tossed aside, then blacklisted the moment they stopped being useful. And through it all, Jay-Z moves like he had nothing to do with it. Now let's circle back to Aaliyah for a sec, because this part right here never sat right. Why was Jay-Z still so close to R. Kelly, even after the world started catching on to the truth? Why did he go out of his way to protect him and even kept working with him? I mean, they dropped a whole collab album together, best of both worlds, like none of that shady mess with Aaliyah ever happened. And everyone knew R. Kelly had been with Aaliyah when she was still a literal child. Also remember with R. Kelly, it wasn't just Aaliyah, it was all those other girls. But Jay-Z never blacklisted him like he did with the other girls who did him no wrong. But here's the grand plot twist you didn't see coming. After Aaliyah died, after Foxy Brown went quiet, after Tiara Marie got blacklisted, guess who rose to the top? Beyonce. Staying loyal to Jay-Z had Beyonce becoming the most untouchable and most protected and decorated artist to this very day. And for years now, people have been asking the same question. Was it all done for Beyonce? Did Jay-Z clear the path and wiped out the competition to make room for her? Now, don't get it twisted. No one is saying Beyonce wanted any of this, but facts are facts. And the fact is that the women who came before her didn't just fade out, they got erased. And the ones who did stick around had to play according to the rules of the game because they had seen the consequences of trying to be different. It was as simple as stay quiet, stay in line, be useful, or be gone.
Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Free, who is a victim of Sean.
So now you tell me if all this doesn't sound crazy. All right, moving on to a scandal even wilder than anything we have covered so far, the fateful case of Pimp C. Pimp C's death wasn't just tragic, it was suspicious as hell. Just like Prodigy, Pimp C was one of those rare voices who didn't play the industry's game. But sometimes being raw, unfiltered, and loud in a business where silence equals survival can be a dangerous move. So when he was found dead in a hotel room at just 33, the real ones knew this wasn't random, but rather very intentional.
I know who let them models stick them dildos in them, and I know who did what, where, when, and why. Wow.
And don't get it twisted, this ain't some YouTube rabbit hole. The whispers are saying this tape might hold real proof that Pimp had info on the Carters and their whole circle. The kind of info that gets people silenced for good. Let's rewind.
Let's go back. You had mentioned Pimp C earlier. With that being said, did Pimp C really have a tape of somebody in the industry that would break the internet?
Before his death, Pimp C wasn't just making noise in music, he was exposing the system. In interviews, he openly talked about the shady deals, the creepy industry rituals going on behind the scenes, the Hollywood weirdness, and all. Pimp C also made it super clear that he wanted no part of the Diddy and Jay-Z lifestyle.
And watch this, boy. I'm gonna say this too, you niggas out there think this shit is cool, but it ain't cool. Me and this man ain't never been butt naked in no room together with no holes.
Joe to see a Puffy on any of them niggas. Yeah. They been at my house. They all see me fuck. They all know I'm a big nigga.
Yeah. Pulling no orgy type shit or doing none of that whole ass shit you niggas out there be doing, thinking you doing some fly shit. Nigga, if you in a room naked with some other niggas and some broad, them niggas looking at your ass. And if that shit is gay, and you need to get on some other shit. Me and this man got nothing but respect for each other. We ain't never pulling no train. We ain't no motherfucking freaks. We some family men. We getting this paper. You know what I'm talking about? And I had to put that out there, boy, because a lot of niggas doing a lot of fugazi shit out here, man.
Sounds simple, right? But in this industry, that kind of talk is how you get a target on your back. And on December 4th, on Jay-Z's birthday, Pimp C was dead. And when you zoom out and connect the dots, from Prodigy's cryptic warnings, Jaguar Wright's chilling testimonies, Aaliyah's tragic end, Tiara Marie's silent blacklisting, and then Pimp C found lifeless in a hotel, the picture that forms is darker than we ever imagined. Jay-Z isn't just being name-dropped for clout. People are pointing at a pattern, and it all circles back to the very throne he sits on. It's giving protect the throne at all costs. So what do you think? Is Jay-Z...
Hey, go front, chat. It crazy. If that's what's really going on, though, bro, it's like, yo, think about it. Nigga, damn, I'm sweating like a mug. Imagine, right? Like, people will go through the crazy extents just to remain relevant, just to continue having money. When there's so many ways to get money. Like, once you already have such a large amount of money, right? Especially money that can't be taken away from you and shit because, like, they drop you how they drop Kanye or something like that, right? Bro, you can continue making money. There's mad things you can do to make money. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you already on that level, you should know plenty ways to get money, right? So why is it that you want to go against your people? Why is it that you want to take people away from their family and all of that just to remain on top that way when there's other ways to do it? You know what I'm saying? There's mad other ways to do it. I don't know why these niggas is doing shit like that, son. That's foul. That's foul if that's what they doing. That's foul. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. That's super foul.